Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, text number 27. Prasantam manasam yenam yoginam sukham uttamam paiti shantarajasam brahmabhutam akamusham. Prasantam manasam yenam yoginam sukham uttamam upaiti shantarajasam brahmabhutam akamusham. Prashanta manasam yenam yoginam sukham uttamam paiti shantarajasam brahmabhutam akamusham. Prasanta manasam yenam yoginam sukham uttamam upaiti shantarajasam brahmabhutam akamusham. Chenske. Prasanta manasam yenam yoginam sukham uttamam upaiti shantarajasam brahmabhutam akamusham. Prasanta, peaceful, fixed on the lotus feet of Krishna. Manasam, whose mind. He, certainly. Enam, this. Yoginam, yogi. Sukham, happiness. Uttamam, the highest. Upaiti, obtains. Shantarajasam, his passion pacified. Brahmabhutam, liberation by identification with the Absolute. Akamasham, freed from all past sinful reactions. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds. Purport. The Brahmabhuta is a state of being freed from material contamination and situated in the transcendental service to the Lord. Mad bhaktim lavate param. Bhagavad Gita 18:54. One cannot remain in the quality of Brahman, the Absolute, until one's mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord. Savaimana Krishna Badara Vindayo. Be always engaged in the transcendent loving service to the Lord, to remain in Krishna consciousness, to be factually liberated from the mode of passion and all material contamination. Prasantam manasam yenam yoginam sukham uttamam paiti shantarajasam brahmabhutam akamusham. The yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfectional state, perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme. Thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskatyade Satarne. This is a result of fixing the mind upon Krishna. Then you get prasanta, you become peaceful, and prasanta manasam, and yoginam sukham uttamam, the highest state of transcendental happiness. That's the whole process. And at the same time, we get Brahmabhutam Akamusham. Avidya is the root cause of all sin, and avidya means the opposite of knowledge. Knowledge, the 4th chapter, is defined as transcendental knowledge, to know ourselves as Brahman, and to know the Supreme Brahman. That's transcendental knowledge. And not knowing that is called avidya, or ignorance. And when we're not in contact with Krishna, then naturally we'll be inclined to gratify our senses, which is called papa, the sinful desire. And from papam comes 2 types of sinful activities. One of them is called that which is stored and that which is active. So there's papam and aparabdha and parabdha karma. Parabdha karma is that which we're experiencing right now. And if you want to see what parabdha karma is, just look in a mirror and you can see it. It's right there. Put a little sign, parabdha karma. And aparabdha karma is that karma which is not manifested right now, but in the course of time will manifest itself in some form or another, some body or another. But what we're experiencing right now is our body, that's called, and our mind, our conceptions, that's called parabdha karma. And when we're acting in the material concept of life, we get what's called kuta, a tendency towards sinful activity. We may have stopped the sinful activity, but that tendency is still there. One may stop, for instance, illicit sex, but that doesn't mean it's gone away. The tendency towards it will be there. Or, it's example used in waves of devotion, someone may be stealing, then they stop stealing. That tendency towards stealing is there. So it may not manifest in this lifetime, but in the next lifetime one is born and one notices that things are missing around the house. That tendency to steal is there. And then when, at the suitable time, one notices things are missing around everyone's house. So that's called the tendency, and it results in papam, the desire to steal, and which manifests itself as parabdha, karma, stealing, and then again that produces more tendency. Vicious cycle, and the whole thing is based upon avidya, because we're not experiencing Krishna. Therefore we have to do something else. If we're engaged in Krishna consciousness, then we don't want to do anything else, because it's so pleasurable. There's so much joy, and it's such a sweet relationship with Krishna and his devotees, we don't want to do anything else. And when we don't have that, then that's all, we just look around for something to do. And Maya keeps everyone engaged, looking for happiness in the material world, in relationships. Of course, in Kali Yuga, people have a difficult time having happiness in actual relationships. So, I notice on the internet, animals have become very prominent. Pastimes of animals. People are not interested in pastimes of human beings because they're not very pleasant, but the animals are still a little sweet. Or there are people who are interested in things that are abstract. Video games, they don't like reality. They like illusion. They're already an illusion, but they don't like this illusion, so they choose some other illusion. Therefore, everyone has to get some kind of taste. If we can't get taste in the material world, then we look for taste and we're an illusion. And therefore, it's hard to get taste in the material world unless one follows strictly the Vedic process. And then there's a little bit of happiness in the material world. But if one doesn't follow the regulations of the Vedas and act according to one's varna and ashram, then there's absolutely no happiness in the material world, and therefore one has to get happiness in some illusory world, where there's no happiness there either, but there's illusory happiness, virtual happiness. I know I study one language program, and the only thing they could do to encourage you is they give you virtual medals. So you can collect your virtual medals. And maybe you can invite your friends online to go and look at them. Otherwise, who knows about them? You wear a virtual medal on your chest. But people are encouraged by that because that's all they got. No one else is telling them anything nice, but at least they get a little certificate. They couldn't pass third grade, but online they get a certificate. So if we don't become connected with Krishna and Krishna consciousness, we'll have to connect ourselves to something to try and squeeze some happiness out of it. And we'll always be in anxiety. What's going to happen today? Am I going to get some happiness today? Or is it just going to be another day of working hard? Parabdha, parava, apavarga, pavarga. P is for working hard, foam at the mouth, pena. And then there is working hard, foam with exhaustion, pena. And then there is fear. Fear is next, bhaya. And then there is death, mrityu. There's one more in between there. Futile, frustration. So, pavarga. And Krishna consciousness is apavarga, that which takes away. As soon as we come in contact with Krishna, even to a little bit, just like we're in the ocean of material existence, and everyone's drowning, and when we're chanting Hare Krishna and engaged in sadhana bhakti, we're practically 1 inch above the waves of the material ocean. And we think we're saved. But as soon as we stop there, once we fall into the ocean again, oh no. And we start chanting, we're 1 inch above the waves. But there's a possibility of getting out of the ocean completely, and then you don't have to worry about the waves or falling into the ocean again. So that's called becoming steady. And that's what we're trying to achieve. The sadhana bhakti, the aim, there's a goal of sadhana bhakti, bhajana kriya, anishtita bhajana kriya, and that goal is nishta bhajana kriya. That is steady devotional service, nishta. And that's achieved by anartha nivritti. And anartha nivritti, in Madhurya Kandambini, it describes that there are 4 kinds of anarthas and aparads. One of them is due to the previous pious sinful activities. One of them is due to our previous pious activities. Another is due to offenses in chanting japa. And the other one is offenses in deity worship, etc. Dhamma aparad, seva aparad. But out of all of them, the easiest one to counteract is simply chant without offense. Simple. Chant without offense, then we can easily remember Krishna. The only problem is we have to remember 3 things. Just 3 things. You can go back to the spiritual world. Does anyone know what the 3 things are? What 3 things you have to remember? What? Yes. Now first of all, we have to remember everything belongs to Krishna. And if we can't remember that, now there's 2 levels. One is the positive, bhaktaram jagatapasam. The other is for the materialist, so that he can come to that stage. That's Chanaka Pandit. Matrivat paradareshu, paradwareshu losravat. Atmavat sarabhuteshu, yakpashiti sapanditaha. So these are for the materialist, this is the way he can eventually become neutral at least. So the first one is, actually it's lostravat paradareshu, atmavat matrivat paradareshu, lostravat, matrivat paradareshu, what's the, paradwareshu lostravat. So, paradwareshu lostravat, not to think that, to look at everyone else's property. Lostra is, I guess, is mud actually. Isn't it mud? So, you generally don't get agitated or you have more mud than I do. I hope not. People are so envious in this age. They see someone with more mud than they have, then they might get envious. But generally people don't get envious when they see people have more mud than they do. So, the idea is that's corresponding to the fact that Krishna is the proprietor of everything. Now, if you're envious of what other people have, what to speak of Krishna who has everything? How much envious you'd be of Krishna? If you're just envious of people who have things which are relatively insignificant, how much more envious we would be of Krishna? And Matrivat Paradareshu, that Krishna is the enjoyer. Now we can maybe get one or two girls or one or two boys, but Krishna has just in his side pocket, he has 16,108 gopis he dances with. And not only that, but they even made a song. In America, at least, they have a song. It was called, I Could Have Danced All Night. So that was after the Rasa dance, where Krishna and the gopis danced all night. So if we don't believe that Krishna is the proprietor of everything, then of course we'll be interested in getting something. And generally we'll be envious. We'll try to get what other people have. And ultimately it all comes down to, at least in a civilized country, a civilized nation, then people are looking for either to get a wife or a husband or something in relation to those. And yakpashiti sapanditaha. So yakpashiti atmavat sarvabhuteshu. That means rather than seeing that I am the friend, I am the savior, I am this, I am that, one should think that Krishna is the savior, that Krishna is the friend. So if one accepts those three things and utilizes all one's energies in the service of the real friend of everyone for Krishna's pleasure, then one is liberated. One will automatically remember Krishna. And that's what Krishna simply wants us to do. Chaitasa sarva karmani, maya sanyasi mataraha, buddhi yogam upashitya, matsita saratam bhava. Then all activities depend upon me, work always under my protection, in such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. In other words, if we're conscious Krishna is a proprietor, I should do everything that Krishna wants me to do, finding out from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, and do it to please Krishna, they will automatically remember Krishna. And if we remember Krishna, then all these nice things will come. We'll become peaceful, we'll become happy, and all our anxieties and sins will go away. Just three things. And if you can't remember those three things, then remember three other things. All the ladies and men belong to Krishna. They're not ours. Everything else, we should just let people have whatever they think they have. We shouldn't try to get anything from them. And we shouldn't take credit that we're the master of our home, we're the master of our classroom, we're the master of whatever. Krishna is the real master. And we're simply the servant. So I'll stop there. Hvala. Prashni. Is it Prashni? What's that? Prashani. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, thank you for the lecture. I was wondering, in between the lecture, since Krishna had 16,108 why? No,
Gopis. He also had 16,108 queens.
Queens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
According to the, I guess it's Lalita Madhava, or is it the Lalita Madhava, that the queens, they ultimately became, actually the gopis ultimately became the queens in Dwarka.
And if I understand, he had 10 sons with each of the queens.
Yes.
There are many sons.
And one daughter.
And one daughter, wow.
Yeah, big family.
Big family. And
he only had 16,108 daughters. It was easy to take care of them. Compared, a lot of marriages in it. So when Narada visited the palaces, there was, the 16,108 palaces, there was always some wedding going on. So if you wanted to get some free prasadam, just hang out around Dwarka. Find out where the next wedding's going on. I mean, you consider there's only 365 days in a year. And 16,000 is, you multiply 16 by 3, it's almost like 16 times 3 is 48. So there's like 48, at least if there's a wedding every day, there's 48 weddings every day. I recommend Rukmini's palace. Satyabhama's not bad either. In case you make it to Dwarka. Yes.
Yeah, but I was wondering, do we know what kind of austerities or what you have to do to become a son of Krishna, or this is just too much for us to?
Well, fix your mind on Krishna, come to the state of anartha nivritti, nishta. You'll develop a taste, then eventually you'll develop attachment, and then it'll be revealed what your rasa is. Now, if you're a butterfly in Goloka Vrindavan, you probably won't want to become a sun.
Yeah.
You'll like being a butterfly. Butterflies are in ecstasy all the time. If you're a sun, then you'll become a sun.
But then you have to be not so free as butterfly. Huh? I don't know.
That's right. Butterflies are. You'll find out. Yeah, you can get butterflies and go to every palace and get a little prasad. Everyone appreciates them too. Besides that, if there's a war, if you're a son, you might have to fight. But a butterfly just fly around, just watch the whole
Thank you for increasing my taste.
Anything else?
I have a question. While speaking about anartha nivritti and this, how does these anarthas get cleansed?
By coming in contact with Krishna, follow the process, and as much as we become conscious of Krishna, then the anarthas go away. There's no progress without remembering Krishna more consistently and more deeply. That's progress. And in order to do that, we have to we have to utilize whatever Krishna has given us and desire to utilize that in his service under the direction of Guru, Sadhana, Shastra, and then try to develop a favorable attitude towards Krishna. And then Krishna reveals himself and we make progress.
Is it that every anartha gets cleansed by like once, second, third, fourth, or do they just like mix, or how is it?
Gradually, we find out what we're attached to. Krishna gives us the intelligence to see what we're doing wrong. And if we accept it and try to do the right thing, then Krishna will help us. And then when he sees we're doing something positive in his service instead of something wrong, then he reveals himself. And as Krishna reveals himself, gradually then these things go away. Tesham eva nukamparatam aham agyana jam tamaha na shamyam yatmabhavasto gyana deepena bhashvata. Out of compassion for them, I dwelling in their heart, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So Krishna is the shining lamp of knowledge. Remembering Krishna will destroy the darkness in the heart, the more we become conscious of it.
One more question. Is it so that all anarthas are developed from envy, or are they like, is the envy like the...
Yeah, there's only two things in the material world, it says. Ichcha dvesha samutena dvanvo mohena bharata sarabhutani samaham sargayanti parantapa. That all living entities is born in delusion, overcome by the desire, by the duality of desire and hate. So ultimately, everything is born out of the fact that we want to be God, and we hate the fact that we can't become God. That's the whole thing. So we act like a servant to please the Supreme, then all our problems are taken care of. But we have to be willing to realize that we're only 1/10,000th society to parent size. That's a big blow to the false ego. We're really attached to being something special. Even if it's, as I said, in the Kali Yuga, every pauper is proud of his penny. Even when we only got a penny, we want to show it to everyone. Yeah, look at this. You wish you had one like that, right? Anything else? Yes.
Maharaj, you were mentioning this Kuta cycle of increasing tendency towards sinful activities. The more we engage, the more we are bound by tendency, by desire towards sinful acts. So even if we learn something along this path and we decide to reverse the course of our actions, that also becomes increasingly less possible with going deeper into sinful activities.
Yeah, if there's knowledge, if there's vidya, then gradually the cycle will, if there's Krishna consciousness, then the cycle will gradually go away.
But without that, if we want to learn some particular lesson, then we are kind of helpless without actually entering Krishna consciousness.
Well, Krishna consciousness, there's knowledge in the modes of passion, there's knowledge in the mode of ignorance, there's knowledge in the mode of goodness. So you can change from one mode to the next. If you go higher to the mode of goodness, if you get knowledge in the mode of goodness, then you at least get free from the sinful reactions in the modes of ignorance and passion. But without Krishna consciousness, you can't transcend. You're free from everything. Besides that, Kali Yuga, there's very little association in the mode of goodness outside of the devotees.
But already understanding mode of goodness and deciding to act in the mode of goodness liberates you from the sinful reaction of previous two modes you were in? Or we have to go higher?
Yeah, sure. You wind up in goodness in some heavenly planets. So maybe, but I don't think anyone's going to make it to heavenly planets this age without Krishna consciousness.
I mean, this karmic machine seems to be created in such a way it seems unjust. So, but only because we have to turn to Krishna. So Krishna probably wants that we turn as soon as possible. So that's why that rapid torture through, I mean, this exponential tendency towards sinful activities. I mean,
yeah, you get what you deserve. You want to be if we want to be an illusion, then material nature provides that illusion.
Yeah, more and more.
Yeah, as much as we want to be an illusion. So Krishna is the source of pleasure. We don't want to be, and Krishna's devotees, and they're loving. If we don't want to be engaged in that, then Krishna has to give us something to do. We want to be dreaming that we're God, then there has to be some playground for the dream to take place in. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much. Grandharaj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.